You know, there's something so beautiful about walking on snow that no one else has stepped on. And then you trip, you fall, and you disappear forever. A few years ago, I felt like building a snowman. Luckily, my friends Ash and John, whom you've already met, had the same plan. And so we decided to join forces and head up into the mountains in the Austrian state of Styria to Wald am Schoberpass.
Located in the southeast of Austria and known as the green heart of the country, over 60% of the state of Styria are covered in forest. 788 of its alpine peaks rise over 2,000 meters, and its 9 thermal baths are well known for de-stressing and detoxing. Inhabited by Celtic tribes during Roman times, Styria is now an epicenter of economic growth, taking pride in their clean technology. During the winter, the Styrian Alps are best known for their perfect skiing slopes and kind Austrian hospitality.
We were so keen on this. All we wanted was a cozy little cabin, snow, and a lot of wine. That was all we needed. We met up in Vienna and then hopped onto a train headed for the mountains. I absolutely love a good train ride. As we were traveling up and up and up and up and up through the mountains, the world around us slowly turned into this beautiful winter wonderland. It was so serene. Apart from that really weird Asian chick sitting next to us with her beads chanting relentlessly. But you know, it's a free world. Eventually we arrived at the station Wald am Schoberpass, in a valley at the foot of 2 mountains. And we were really happy because it had just snowed, so there was a beautiful layer of fresh white fluff all around. We then took our suitcases, dragged them through the snow to a ski lift, and they were going to transport the bags to us with a snowmobile. But from that point on, we had to walk. So it started really nicely. We walked through this tiny village with these beautiful snowed up little houses. It was really charming. And then it became steeper and we made our way up the mountain. Now this was probably a 3 to 4 kilometer walk, so not super far, but quite steep, at times quite slippery, and really snowy. So the first part was really easy, just walking up the mountain. The road was clear.
We are walking up to our accommodation because it was either us or our luggage.
Yeah, oh yes.
And we chose the luggage.
But then it started to become a little bit difficult. The thing is, none of us had proper snow boots. So walking in that deep snow that goes up to your knee proved to be a little bit challenging. Eventually, after about an hour and a half, we made it to our little cabin, and it couldn't have been more perfect. It was made out of wood, it had a beautiful little kitchen, a beautiful little dining room, 2 beautiful bedrooms, a little terrace, a little balcony. It was just so charming and so beautiful. And looking out of the window, we had a view of this beautiful winter forest. It just couldn't have been more perfect for us. We immediately got the fireplace going and cracked open a bottle of red wine. Eventually our hostess came to visit. Now they stayed in a house that was a bit further on, and she invited us for some coffee and cake. And even though we were kind of digging our vibe alone, we decided it's the right thing to do. It's a lovely invitation, and so we went over to visit her and her husband for some coffee and cake. Actually, it turned into glühwein and cake, which turned into more wine, which turned into a delicious deer goulash, which turned into dessert, which turned into a sauna party with jumping into the snow in between, and more wine, which resulted in going home way after midnight, full of wine with glowing skin. We actually ended up staying with them for about 7 hours or something, and so we offered to cook something South African for them on our last night. The next day was so relaxed. We sat by the fireplace, drinking wine, eating, playing card games, talking. At one point, I don't even remember who had this idea. I think it was John. Each of us should strip down naked and then jump into the snow. Now the snow was so deep that when you jumped into it, you literally disappeared. And so each of us took our turn, ran downstairs and jumped into the snow completely naked. It's really great for the skin. It eventually started to snow even more, and it didn't stop snowing until the next day. I had never seen that much snow. I mean, it just piled on and piled on and piled on. At some point, of course, we ran out of wood, so John and I decided to be the men of the house, which I suppose we were anyway, and go get the firewood. There's something so gratifying about putting on your gear and then shoveling through the snow to collect the firewood and then bringing it back home and then lighting a fire.
Also, I killed mice earlier on, I think. There was squeaking and then there was no squeaking. I don't even know anymore.
It just finally made me feel like a man. Finally. There was one problem though, and we kind of underestimated ourselves a little bit, in that we kind of ran out of supplies by the beginning of day 3. We had no more food left, no more snacks left, and worst of all, no more wine left. Guys. So our hostess Regina told us that if we want to go buy something, we can down in the village where we came from. She told us about a little shop that sold all the basic necessities. She gave us some boots, which were too small for me anyway, but I still wore them, just so that we could actually climb through the snow. And so we got going. I think it's fair to say that we didn't walk through the snow, but we swam through the snow. It basically went all the way up to our hips. So we didn't really know whether we should laugh or cry. As always, we decided to laugh. What made me cry inside a little bit was the idea of having to climb all the way back up again. Oh. Ashley was walking in front and all of a sudden she just disappears. Into the whites. Poof! Magic, she's gone. Turns out there was a bit of a ridge. It wasn't super deep, maybe like a meter. So Ashley had fallen down that ridge and completely disappeared into the snow. It was quite funny. We then had to cross the ski slope, which was kind of dangerous actually because there were quite a few people skiing. But what made it even more dangerous was the fact that we were slipping all over the show. We were basically on all fours crossing that slope. After a lot of snow diving, slipping around, stepping through snow, we eventually reached the town, find the store, and guess what? No, it wasn't closed. I know that's what you were thinking. But they were about to close. Literally, as we were walking in, we were welcomed by someone saying, "You know we're about to close." But at that point, we didn't care. We just went in there to buy our stuff. So we stocked up on food, on wine, on snacks, on sweets, on everything that we could think of. We then left the store. The doors were slammed shut behind us. It was quite dramatic. And so we started on our trek back up the mountain. Guys, can I just say, our legs were numb after that. Firstly, because of the cold, and secondly, because we used muscles we never thought we had. In fact, I think my body produced muscles it never had before. Our legs were so sore the next day. So as we were sitting in our little snowed-in cabin, Ashley had this wonderful idea of trying out new makeup. And of course, she had 2 beautiful faces to practice on. There, John and I were sitting having our makeup done, and I do have to say, I did feel beautiful. And so we decided to prepare the food for dinner, and we made ourselves pretty to walk over to our hosts. I think they were a little bit confused about our makeup, but we didn't care, we was pretty. We had a wonderful final dinner together, and the next morning we heavy-heartedly packed up our stuff, loaded our bags onto the snowmobile, and made our way into the village to head back to Vienna. What I loved about this little experience was that it was so spontaneous, so relaxing, so funny. We really enjoyed every single moment of each other's company. We had so much fun cooking, we had so much fun sitting by the table and just talking and laughing and laughing and laughing for hours. Being in this secluded place that kind of forces you to be with one another and be very present with one another really makes you reset on some things. And that's why Wald am Schoberpass is a place that I hold very, very dearly in my heart and is a place I will definitely return to with my friends. That's it from me for today. I'm checking out. See you tomorrow.